This video was sponsored by Otis, where you can buy shares of highly valued collectibles. It's like the stock market, but for culture. And it's easy with the app and new drops of all kinds every week. Sign up for Otis with my link in the description and get $20 free to buy your first share when you fund your account. Terms apply, and stick around to the end of the video to learn more. Pokémon cards! This is just a physical loot box, isn't it? I love the art on so many of them. A lot of the artists go above and beyond in how they depict the Pokémon, and then other cards, you just use the stock art. Like, look at this, what the heck? I feel cheated. From what I remember, Gen 3 and 5 had a lot of just stock art cards. I guess Gen 1 did too, but the cards weren't known for having cool art at the time, because they were new, so stock cards were okay back then, I guess. Still the lamest, though. And looking back, the cards with the really early 3D computer-generated graphics, like... oh man, this is disgusting. It was so cool seeing Pokemon in 3D as a kid, but like, oh my, it's like comparing the first Pixar shorts to the modern Pixar movies. I guess that's kind of literally what this is. I always loved the clay Pokemon cards too, and most recently I've fallen in love with these ones! Saya Surata is my favorite Pokemon card artist, by a long shot for sure. Just something about their art directly strikes my serotonin glands. If that's a thing, that's a thing, right? Well, my other favorite cards are the cards that tell stories, big or small, and to show what I mean, here's probably the most well-known one. It's a set of Charmander cards by Akira Komoyama. It shows a Charmander growing up with its trainer. Everything about this set is touching, even outside of the art. The little description reads, "My Charmander is so rambunctious. I wonder if we can become good friends." And the move is playful. That's not even a Pokemon move, but it's perfectly fitting. Look at this Charmander. It's being playful, but they are both young and inexperienced, so the Charmander doesn't know that it's hurting the trainer, and the trainer doesn't realize that it's just being playful. An all too common issue young children face. By the time the boy grows into a teenager, he's learned to communicate with his Charmeleon. "My precious friend who is always with me, I have so many things I want to tell you." And on top of learning an actual move, Slash, the Charmeleon knows to call for support. Likely the same can be said of the boy. And then finally, as an adult, Charizard knows a really strong move, Combustion Blast, and it's seen protecting its trainer from the blizzard. Which is risky business because if the flame on its tail gets put out, it dies. And yet, no matter what happens, if we stick together, we can get past it. Forever and ever. And the other move it learns is Recall. It reflects back on its life and can use moves from the previous evolutions. This Charizard, with his trainer, has had a good life and has formed happy memories. Or is this sudden remembrance its life flashing before its eyes? It's very touching, and also not even the only card that goes like this, it's just the most well-known one. Here's another very similar one that actually predates the Charizard one. This art by Kanako Io shows the life of this Tepig given as a starter Pokemon to this young boy. Years later, he gets a sister, and his Tepig has evolved into a Pignite, and his parents are starting to show their age. And later still, now as an Emboar, the boy has a wife and kid of his own now, and his parents and sister are much older. Emboar has always been a big part of their family, growing up alongside them. It makes me wonder about Pokemon lifetimes, because this is a sort of Marley and me generational family dog kind of vibe, right? But that's for another video. Most of the story cards don't tell as touching or deep of stories as these two, but they're still really fun. Like, look at these two. Here's a Chespin collecting berries like it does in most of its cards, but this time, it's collecting berries while over a Snorlax. It probably dropped some berries on Snorlax because then in the Snorlax card, which happens right after it, the Snorlax is woken up and freaking out and it makes Chespin fall out of the tree. Or maybe the Snorlax is trying to help the Chespin that just slipped, and the Snorlax wasn't actually asleep. Then also take these two. We see a Meowth holding a melon of sorts. It's feeling fine because it adores round objects. But then the Inkay in the background is getting some flames of envy. So, in its card, it's shown having ripped off the melon from the Meowth's grip, which was likely weakened because it flashes the light-emitting spots on its body, which drains its opponent's will to fight, and now it takes the opportunity to scuttle away and hide. And I just noticed, actually, this is the same artist that did that Charizard. Must like telling stories. It's super cool. Tomokazu Komiya did a whole bunch of Pokemon cards in this way weird art style, but these two in particular directly interact with each other. In Hypno's card, we see a fork in the road, one spooky and one pristine, and the sign that gives directions has been knocked over. The Clefairy clearly wants to take the rainbow route, but Hypno points the other way. And Clefairy obeys, as we see in the poor lost Clefairy's card. Here we see another Charmeleon accidentally burning a poor Swablu with its tail. And this next one is a favorite of mine for sure. It shows a seaside landfill with a flock of Wingulls filling the sky, much like real seagulls just eating trash. And we see a troubled Trubbish living here, until a waving Phione appears, greeting the Trubbish, and together they escape the dirty landfill and explore the ocean with an Empoleon. I love this Empoleon. This art is just so good! And like, even on its own, this Empoleon card tells a story. Like, you can tell the Empoleon and Phione are going on a journey with this Trubbish, showing the Trubbish the beauty of the ocean. But it's so much cooler that this story goes back through several other cards. Here's another really cute one. Two Natu shivering in the cold, but they get saved by a Bouffalant. Bouffalant. It's so good. Now, sometimes the cards don't do so much of telling a linear story like this, but rather they build a cohesive world. We'll call it the trading card game universe, and loads of cards will reference each other that way, sometimes directly, sometimes just because it's cool. Take this set, for example. Plusle and Minun cards reference each other constantly, just like Volbeat and Illumais. I mean, they're partner Pokemon, that makes sense. But they go further here, because if you back out a bit, the same set of cards features other Pokemon in the same location. There's a celebration going on, a Pokemon tournament. Machop's going up the ranks, and Makuhita is also probably going up the ranks because that same board's in the background. And then here's Scrafty, kinda being away from the crowd because it's dark type, it don't like parties, and there's Plusle and Minun being too cute and happy. Scrafty's gotta go. Or take this set. There's a big epic battle happening at the Mountain Ring between Magmortar, Electivire, and Slacking. And Breloom was here at some point too. Ekans, Dwebble, and Hoot all caught glimpses of the legendary birds all flying, likely towards each other to become their tag team card from the same set. Skrelp, Nosepass, and Teddiursa all found statues of the world's creators, and sure enough, there is also a tag team statue of all three together from the same set. And then, some of the most common little stories are simple little redemption arcs, or getting stronger stories, like this Execute being attacked by a Spearow and then getting revenge after it evolves. And here we see a sort of battle royale happening between Machamp, Hitmonchan, and Mienshao from the Furious Fists expansion. And it's happening at the location of the Fighting Stadium card, and there's even a Battle Reporter card reporting on the event. Which brings me to another related category of story. The TCG often is building its own whole cohesive world where there's a big overarching plot rather than just it's a location that all of these cards are in. Because there's tons of... most sets will do that. Remember the Delta set? It was all based on an island where like Pokemon types were getting mixed up, and so like all of the cards from that set are on those islands. But then sometimes you get really interesting big events happening in the Pokemon card game world. The Pokemon Breakthrough, Breakpoint, and Fates Collide expansions tell the story of two parallel dimensions coming together through these pink portals. Here, a portal opens which shows a nature-y world with Chikorita and a major city world with Fennekin. And then in the background of Fennekin's card, we can see that, yes, the worlds collided. It's a part of how the whole break gimmick works. This Rattata card shows that off well. Here, some Rattata are running away from a scary portal, but then the Raticate starts glowing with golden power, which then grants it the break ability. Most of the cards from these sets show off the two worlds individually too. Take this peaceful tree world with a nice little village in a forest, most directly easily seen in the Xerneas and Noctowl cards. Meanwhile, the Yveltal card, among many others, is in the city. And then portals start opening up all over, and then the worlds collided. Nature took over the city, and the city took over the nature. And again, do note that the Nature-y world did still have a small Renaissance town in it, hence some of these cards showing castle-y buildings being mixed with it all. It's also why many of the other cards in these sets just show a happy, old-fashioned European town. But as the worlds got all mixed up, parts of the city were flooded, possibly because in the other world, their ocean was drained. And this whole entire narrative continues in other cards, like this Lucario card. The background has this messed up half-city, half-nature world all mixed into it, and Lucario is thinking about or even sensing Mega Alakazam, one of the main Pokémon from this set. And in the background again we see a castle tower, and that tower would actually become the focal point of the next card expansion, Steam Siege. With the combination of modern technology and Renaissance technology that this world now has, steampunk is clearly the balanced way to go. Most of the cards from this set have a steampunk aesthetic, gears all around, and the world repaired itself by combining their two technologies. And then, disaster struck. The sky erupted with pink once more. Was it Hoopa, here with its portal powers to set the worlds right? Or was this all its fault in the first place? Was this the end? A story of the Pokémon multiverse colliding, in a way, and then being reset? Did it all come together and became reborn? I'd say so, because the next trading card game expansion was Evolutions, which was a celebratory reprinting of the original Gen 1 cards. And after that, it was Sun and Moon. Like, a whole new generation. The last generation ended. And then with the Sun and Moon sets, while not as intensely themed and telling a big narrative like that, I feel, I guess other than Tropical and there's Ultra Beasts coming through Ultra Wormholes, if you just go through the names of the expansions and look at their logos, you can actually tell a lot. Like you have Guardians Rising, the Guardians rise, and then the shadows burn in the burning shadows, and the sun is rising, and then the next sets are essentially Lunala and Solgaleo and Necrozma sets, and then Necrozma again. And then they all team up, and they form unbroken bonds and have unified minds, and then, once again, in Hidden Fates, they brought back a bunch of Gen 1 Pokémon. And next was where it all came together. A cosmic eclipse. When the sun and moon combine, it's climactic. And then when you add in the stars via a prism, you get this equation in alchemy. You get Azoth, the ultimate power in alchemy. Infinity energy. Way cool. And then for Sword and Shield, Scorbunny finds a huge pile of berries and takes some, and then Grookey takes the rest, and so Sobble is all sad that the berries are all gone. What a follow-up. So hey, do you want to invest in some very valuable Pokemon cards, games, and more? Because that's exactly what you can do with today's sponsor, Otis. I wish I could just have some of these cards because, like, gosh, why does everything have to cost money? Thousands! Now, because these cards have become more popular lately, and I want a piece of that, I can use Otis to buy shares of them. Like this Shadowless Hollow Mewtwo, or this Blastoise that I already own a few shares of because Blastoise is my favorite. It's the best of the original starters, right? You're wrong if you don't think so. And thanks to the app, I can conveniently check on it and buy and sell at any time. I mean, watch, I'll do it right now. Yeah. Boom. Whether you're a sneakerhead, an art fiend, or are way into sports merch, or just an epic gamer looking for a thematically appropriate investment like the origin of esports, Otis has something for you. Sign up for Otis with my link in the description and get $20 free to buy your first share when you fund your account. Terms apply. So until next time, never stop using your noggin. And never stop using your noggin.